I'm sure some of us will be traveling to fun places. I'm going to be spending a few days in sunny Puerto Rico. I couldn't be more excited. While planning my trip, however, I began to learn a few things about Puerto Rico's history with the United States and the not-so-sunny situation it currently faces. Puerto Ricans have a decision to make this June, and what they decide is our duty and the U.S. government's, federal government's duty to let their voices be heard. To get a better understanding of this whole thing, we need to get to know Puerto Rico's history. It's home to 3.5 million people, and U.S. Puerto Rico began their relationship in 1898, according to History.com. That year, the United States invaded Puerto Rico as part of the Spanish-American War. Ever since then, and starting in 1952, Puerto Rico became an autonomous U.S. Commonwealth. That's kind of a mouthful, but it basically means that Puerto Rico's citizens are considered American citizens, and they fought in World War II and everywhere since, and they're able to elect their own local officials, but they can't vote in U.S. presidential elections, and they have no real representation in the United States Congress. For many years, Puerto Ricans were actually okay with this system. Up until 2012, a majority of their citizens actually favored the Commonwealth status, according to an Orlando Sentinel article last week by Tony Suarez. But since then, things have taken a drastic turn. According to John Oliver's April 2016 piece for HBO's Last Week Tonight, things started bad when the United States Congress removed a tax break for large companies that encouraged those companies to move down to Puerto Rico. That bill, along with the major U.S. financial crisis and recession, resulted in a dire situation in Puerto Rico. And the government made a lot of bad decisions along the way when they were trying to recover from that, but some of those issues were associated with their territorial status. At the end of the day, Puerto Rico is in a very bad situation now. Half of their manufacturing jobs are gone. There's $70 billion in public debt. Poverty rate is at 45%, and 80,000 people fled in just 2015 alone. Their biggest issue now is their debt. Because they're not a state, they can't file for bankruptcy, so they don't really have that much of a way out. They've actually had to close schools and cut funding and actually power at certain points to hospitals. On top of this major crisis for Puerto Rico, we as a country have a bit of a moral crisis on our own hands. You see, we the people take so much pride in our founding story. I'm sure every single one of you guys can recite the story of the 13 American colonies rising up because we had taxation without representation. Yet we imposed that same colonial system on 3.5 million of our fellow Americans to this very day. And the United Nations actually called us out on this. You see, the UN's Special Committee on Decolonization, as detailed in an article from June 2016 on the UN's website, calls on our government to move forward with a process to allow the Puerto Rican people to make decisions in a sovereign matter and to address their urgent economic and social needs, including unemployment, marginalization, insolvency, and poverty. You see, Puerto Rico is not allowed to become a state or completely leave the U.S. without our Congress's approval. Because of this, many Puerto Ricans actually refer to Congress as La Junta, or the dictatorship, according to a Miami Herald article from January by Jim Wiss. Now, Puerto Rico is Hispanic and heavily Democratic, so there's some evidence that whatever decision they make, our largely Republican government might not want to welcome them into the country. And let's be honest, their large debt isn't attractive no matter what your political status is. But Puerto Rico's newly elected governor, pictured here, said in his inaugural address that the United States cannot pretend to be a model for democracy for the world, while it discriminates against 3.5 million of its fellow citizens, depriving them of the right to political, social, and economic equality under the U.S. flag, according to a Fox News article from January 3rd. If we do not respond to the decision Puerto Ricans make this June, we'll be just as bad as the British Empire that oppressed us so many years ago. At this point, Puerto Rico's only clear path to relief is statehood or independence. On June 11th, Puerto Ricans will vote for which one they want. A 2012 vote of a similar type had murky results that were a little bit hard to interpret, but it did suggest that Puerto Ricans will vote to join the United States. This would give them access to an additional $10 billion in federal funding that they desperately need, according to a 2012 article for the Washington Post by Owen Kazan. Now, some of us might say it's a little bit too hard for the United States to accept them, or that they wouldn't be a good fit, or that they might hurt us as a country. But the rest of the country would benefit from Puerto Rico's citizens and companies paying additional taxes that they don't pay currently. And Puerto Rico has 4 medical schools and a renowned engineering university, much like our own, that NASA directly recruits from. And it's strategically placed for Caribbean trade, as shown by Andres Cordova's article this year for The Hill. Now, this flag has 51 stars, and I'm sure none of you guys have noticed. According to a Huffington Post article by Lee Hernandez from 2012, Puerto Rico is ingrained in our society. J-Lo, Bruno Mars, a Supreme Court justice, and some of our top athletes are Puerto Rican. Puerto Rico as the 51st state does make a lot of sense. And should the citizens choose this option, there's already a vote scheduled to select its 2 senators and 5 representatives for Congress. But should their citizens instead vote for independence, it will be because they feel that their homeland can better get through this and navigate this financial crisis without us. And there is a possibility that's true. They have better access to worldwide financial institutions that they're barred from right now because of their political status. According to Maru Gonzalez's article, 4 Reasons Independence is the right path for Puerto Rico. Many Puerto Ricans also feel that independence would let them better embrace and maintain their national heritage and pride, and they'd probably be able to retain Spanish as one of their prime languages. If Puerto Rico does go independent, that's simply their right, and we must respect that decision as well. We need to be ready to accept whatever decision Puerto Rico makes this June, for it is a place with a long relationship with us that is in a dire situation and is struggling as our own colony. I encourage you to be proactive and sign one of the online petitions available. There's one available on PuertoRico51st.com. Or let your voice be heard by our local politicians or nationwide politicians. And certainly watch out for news in June regarding whatever decision they make. While I can't wait for my spring break to Puerto Rico, I now know that Puerto Rico needs to be viewed as a fellow place with 33.5 million Americans, not just a place to vacation. Thank you.